Yo, what is going on, YouTube? Hope you guys are doing fantastic today. Today, we've got a banger for you. We've got 3 gods in every single role that I think you guys would enjoy a lot on this current patch. Now, it's not the best gods. It's not the 3 best gods in every role, but it is 3 gods that I think you guys will enjoy a lot. I've got builds with them, stuff that I've found that I'm like, this build feels really good on so-and-so character. So we're going to be giving you guys 3 gods, and we're going to be giving you guys builds also, so you guys can try those out. Let me know what you guys think about them. If you've tried them before and you have a build somewhat close to mine, let me know how it felt for you guys. But before we get into that, I just want to let you guys know that we are full-time on Twitch, Monday through Saturday, starting around 7 to 9-ish, somewhere in there. We'll be going live every day on Twitch for 5 hours at the bare minimum, because we are live all the time now. If you guys do enjoy that type of content, do enjoy the live stream, make sure you guys drop a follow over there. And also make sure you guys check out the Discord. That's the community we're building here together. Really great time in there. I've had to dye my hair also because of Twitch, because of September. So if you guys enjoy that type of stuff, make sure you guys follow there too. So in no particular order, number 1, we're going to start with Camazotz.
I'm Batman.
With a nice little axe buff, a Blackthorn buff. Cam has actually been feeling really good. Did I not save his build? Oh, I did. I don't know why I did this, but I brought it to the bottom because I'm a weirdo. But this is like a somewhat good build that I found with Camazotz. I think it works really well. You farm in lane really well. You're really hard to 1v1. You have good 1v2 potential. Blackthorn axe is like Cam's kind of original combo where he's just sustains way too much. He's very hard to go on, and then even though he doesn't have the protections to live, he has a lot of lifesteal, a lot of health. Trans gives you a lot of power to make your abilities hit harder. Glad when you get these prots online, and then we're going to be going into Sundering Axe once you hit level 20. Late game, you have very, very good dive potential. You live really long. You do a lot of damage. Your 1v1 potential on anyone is very strong. So make sure you guys try Camazotz. Let me know what you guys think. Next up is Shiva, another god that I think is really, really good on this patch. He's very good with Manticore, very good with Bluestone. I think he uses Blackthorn actually really well right now. And then once you get into the late game, you have really good dive potential. The only somewhat problem I found with a build like this is you don't have great sustain. Your sustain really only comes from your ult, but you still do a lot of damage in the late game. Your mid game is really strong. Your early game is really strong, and you actually have a lot of kill potential. I've been liking this build a lot, and you're very, very hard to gank and to kill. Then obviously, once you get to the late game, you're going to be going into the blue Bluestone, not the red Bluestone. Blue Bluestone. Still very, very strong. There's so much upside to this item, and Shiva procs it really well. So Shiva, next up. Number 3. Pretty sure most of you guys probably saw this one coming. He's probably one of the best gods in the game right now with this current build, Guan Yu. Now, there's a couple ways you can build him, but this is the build that I found to be the most effective. I feel like I do way too much damage, way too much healing, way too much CC, way too much healing, way too much slowing, way too much stunning, way too much shredding, way too much ability using, way too much farming. Everything about this build is just so strong. Hero's Axe, really good in the late game, gives you one of your teammates once they're CC'd, a massive shield. You give a shield with Fae Blessed. Your healing is a lot higher because of Caduceus shield. Your damage is obnoxiously high with Glad Shield and Manticore Spikes when you're stunning people on your horse. And then you're just going to be perma using abilities to Bluestone and then, Breastplate, and then your passive too. You can go Bluestone also and then trade something else out if you want to be a little bit more tanky, but I found this build to be the most effective, and it feels very, very fun to use. You're an absolute menace from the solo lane. Now, heading on over to jungles, and just to reiterate, this is not a particular order. This is not the best gods. This is just gods that I find to be a lot of fun right now. Susano. He's got a nice buff from the patch. Really, really nice buff. His ult being 100 seconds feels fantastic. His 2 extra damage feels great. It feels like you have kind of no weak point now. You have like a pretty slow early game before and a pretty mid game if you weren't ahead, but now it feels like you can get through your early game a lot easier with your ult being 10 seconds off. I really liked this build a lot. I'll go these 3 items to start off. I'll build one of these depending on if I need Crusher for just extra damage or if they have a lot of healing. I'll go Brawlers, and then I'll end with these 2 items no matter what. I actually feel like a 1v5 machine with this build. As long as I don't die early game, I kind of just farm to get my Transcendence, or maybe make a play when I get my ult, and then I'll try to make a play, gank somewhere. But at no point in the game do I feel weak anymore in Susano, and I feel like anybody comes at me, I'm going to be coming back at them twice as hard. Rawr. Next up, a Willix. You know, I really did not think the buff would make her feel that much better. I don't know if maybe it was just like she's already pretty good in ranked, and then the ult just was, or the buff to her ult and the buff to her, was it her 2 or 3? I don't remember. She had 2 buffs, but I don't remember the second one. She feels fantastic. I tried Heavy Executioner in a ranked game on her, and it felt great. Like, I was astonished at how good it felt. Willix is a really good auto attack canceller, and she's really good on doing objectives because of how you just ult and then you just kind of shred stuff. And the heavy executioner just makes it so if you pull somebody in, one auto, you knock them up again with your 3, you auto again, instantly shredding 35% of their health, and then your rest of your team is also going to be shredding them along with you. I've actually loved this build a lot. I'll go these 3 items to start, into a heavy Xe, into Heartseeker, and then if they have a lot of CC and I'm worried that maybe if they can get on me, they have like a dodgy or something really annoying, I'll go Magi's Revenge. And if they don't and I'm just running through the entire team, Blood Forge 100%. Next up, Naja. Now this character got buffed. And when I say buffed, he got buffed. He is now like out there flexing on people. He's playing like 9 different roles. He's 1v2 and 1v3 and honestly right now, I think Naja is going to be if you can hit your sash, let me start off. If you can hit your sash, you can hit your ult. This character is one of the best characters in the game currently, especially in ranked. I'm really curious to see how he'll play in the SPL. Scream has stated that he thinks this character is good even outside or even before these buffs. And then these buffs came in and then he's just absolutely running games right now. I know Zatman had a really absolute dominant game with him. I've played him and dominated with him on like 20-3 or something and hard carried my team. And this is the exact build I went. Honestly, I'm not a big Shifter Shield fan. Like I think it's a bit of maybe an overrated item by like lower elos, but I think it's a bit underrated by higher MMR, higher elo players. Once you get trans into Shifter Shield, you have really good one-shot potential when you're full health, which you can have a heal to like kind of get above that health threshold. And then if you kind of get gone on, you get that Shifter Shield tankiness. Your ult is giving you prots when you miss or when you hit it. Shield of Regrowth, Magi's gives you a lot of survivability and a lot of extra damage. Magi's Revenge does. And then Titan's Bane just gives you actual one-shot potential if you're hitting your ult on people with the Titan's Bane proc. Protector just kind of pulls it together. And honestly, just try this build out. Let me know what you guys think. It feels so good on Naja. Really, really fun. Next up is Vulcan. The Vulcan buff didn't do that much, but I've been having a blast with him. It just feels great building Doom Orb in mid, and I think Vulcan is one of the few gods. Vulcan and like Ra and like Janus are like the 3 gods where you go Doom Orb and you're like, oh, that didn't feel too bad. So I've been really liking this build with Vulcan. The Mantle of Discord just kind of makes up for not having the Warlock survivability. So instead I go Mantle just for some survivability late game, but I feel like I do a ton of damage. I'm really hard to kill. I farm really well. The only thing is my damage isn't super high, but it's like pretty high. It's scary. Like you can't walk at me and just kill me, but it's not like true one-shot potential. But I think that's more Vulcan's fault than the build's fault. I think a lot of other gods could build this and still feel like they're doing a lot of damage. Vulcan just got a lot less damage kind of built around his kit. Try this build. Let me know what you guys think about this build, but Vulcan, one of the mid laners. Next up, Tiamat. I have been loving this build on Tiamat. Absolutely loving it. I'm not a big alternate timeline guy, but I think it fits perfectly kind of in a build with Tia like this because it gives you a survivability option. So you go the Sands, you go Deso, Mirrodin, Soul Gem. I'm still a little iffy on how much I like the Soul Gem. Like maybe I delay it down to here, but when I get it in this 3rd slot, I feel like I can't be killed and I have really good like 1v2 potential or 2v3 potential when I'm just getting so many heals and just extra ability procs. And obviously you need your Pen and Ob Shard, you need your Sov to do, or your Soul Reaver to do damage late game. But alternate timeline just kind of wraps this build up well together, gives you extra procs to make sure you're a little extra tanky because the build is not super survivability focused outside of like the soul gems. I also don't need the 20% cooldown because I've got 10, 10, 10. So that would put me at 50%. I'd be overcapping with the red pot to 60%. With this, I'm at 40, 50 with the red pot, which is kind of whatever. But I've been really liking this build. Try it out. I had a really hard time figuring out a 3rd god to put kind of in this spot. Mid doesn't feel like it changed too much, in my opinion. I don't think the flat pen will get built. It was a nice buff to it, but I don't think it kind of pushes it over the edge to be competing with Warlocks. And I think the same can be said for Book of Thoth. It doesn't really just compete with Warlocks, and I think that's its biggest problem. But a build like this with Ra, I think feels really good. The extra scaling in your ult gives you more one-shot potential. And then the Mantle for survivability because you're Ra in the late game, and if people blink onto you, ult onto you, something like that, you don't have too much survivability. So I think the Mantle of Discord tankiness helps out a little bit. But I think this build feels good. I think Ra is kind of in like a 2nd tier of mid laners that I want you to play. I want you to try Vulcan. I want you to try Tia. And then if you got a little extra time, try Ra. See how he feels. For ADC, I bet none of you could have seen this one coming. I talked about it on stream a lot. I actually love this buff. He feels so good now that his passive is 35% in the melee range. I jungled with him. My mistake if the Hunter builds are wrong. I haven't kept up with Hunter builds as much as other builds. So my Hunter builds might be a little bit out of date. You might want to check with like Panda Cat, Zatman, one of the other ADCs that streams, Bara. check with them, see what their builds are. But I think this is what the build was. I've been seeing a lot of Death Toll recently too. All the Hunter builds are the same because Hunter builds don't change. Hunters just build the most DPS that they can. Items, passives don't matter. They just want to have as much DPS as possible. So this is basically the build I'm going to have for all three of the gods. Certain with his buffs to his 2 and to his melee auto, he is an absolute menace. I was just 2v1ing, 1v3ing. I was doing objectives by myself. Cern feels very, very good. Give him a try. 35% auto attacks. That means if a melee god blinks onto you and you're hitting them with your auto and the melee auto, you're doing 135%. 135%. And you can auto attack cancel with your 2. You can auto attack cancel with your 3. You have so much burst with this character. It is absolutely insane. Give him a try. Izza, I think this one more has to do with the map change and adding the scepter to the duo side of the map. You're just getting so much pressure with Izza now. And now there's actually a reward for it. You get scepter, you get pressure. It allows purple buffs to be invaded and then chain invaded on top, and then chain invaded on top. And then once you get your lead on Izza, it's really hard to 1v1 her just because of how much damage is in her kit. I think Cern is still by far my favorite ADC, even though the rest aren't really in order other than maybe mid a little bit. I still think Izza's a lot of fun. And I think with this build, she feels really, really good. Lastly, for the ADCs, another god that got a buff, Rama. I've been seeing so much Rama lately. All the ADCs have been playing him. They've been building something like either Cowl Trans, Death Toll Trans, and then they'll switch it up for an Aussie here instead, or Aussie instead of Silver Branch. And I guess like the mana changed to his 1 and the extra ult damage just kind of pushed him over the edge. I didn't think it was going to happen. And maybe it's more of just people enjoy playing him. So that's why we're seeing him so much. But I've been seeing so much Rama, and maybe it's a sign that he's going to be played in SPL. Maybe it's more just people have missed him, but I still think he's a lot of fun, and I think this build works really well on him. So the hardest role to choose for these three gods was support. I felt like a lot of the gods got changes in 9.8, and I didn't want to repeat the same gods that I had in that 9.8 video, so I kind of had to get creative a little bit. I think there's one repeat. I don't remember who I put in that 5, but I think I'm repeating one of them because I had to build on one of them before. But first off, Kuzumbo.
Am I not turtly enough for the Turtle Club?
They buffed his mitigation and they buffed his damage. So a god that was already hard to kill is harder to kill. A god that already did a lot of damage does even more damage. And the flat pen changes might not have changed mid lane a lot, but it helps out support a good considerable margin because those gods that want to just blink onto the enemy mage or the enemy hunter and just do as much damage as they can, they got a lot of benefit from this. And a build like this on Kuzumbo, I was 1v5ing. I've said that so much today, but I've been playing so much Smite recently because I really enjoy this and I've been just streaming all the time. I've been really enjoying this patch. A build like this, I was one-shotting. I was actually one-shotting squishies. Spear of Deso feels really good. Divine Rune feels really good. Your damage is through the roof with just 2 flat pen items. And my tankiness was also through the roof with just those 4 items. It doesn't even feel like I should be this tanky, but look at how crazy this is. 245 physical, 212 magical. I'm getting healing from my Sentinel's Boons, healing from my Renewal, damage from my Manticore Spike, and a lot of tankiness from my Spirit's Robe. I think my one problem with this build is I didn't have a ton of cooldown, but it still didn't feel like it was that big of a problem because Kuzumbo ult is already a low cooldown, and then you can reset his cooldowns with his 2. So it didn't feel that bad, but overall, Kuzumbo feels great. Next up, Ares. I think this is the god I'm repeating, but I'm changing up the build a little bit. I've been experimenting a little bit with Voidstone on Ares, and I think it's maybe in a spot where it feels very, very good. I've been going Sentinel's Boon, Mail of Renewal. I've been experimenting with just going Emperors instead of Sov here, and I think I like it, but I'm not too sold on it yet, and I'm still not too sold on Voidstone, but I'm going to put it out there that you guys can try build out like this out and see how it feels for you guys. When you build something like this, you're getting a lot of auras for damage, so I'm going to be at, oh, I guess it doesn't give me my passive. This will be 30, 60, 90 extra power, so 130. And then I know you guys love Gem. I know you guys are big Gem of Isolation fans. You're fiends for it. So I toss it in there as a possibility. Otherwise, you can go Cronus Pendant, or you can go Spirit Deso. Voice crack. Or you can go Spirit Deso. But yeah, Ares feels really good in 9.9. Give him a try. Lastly, a little repeat of the solo lane gods. Guan Yu. We stuck his build at the bottom so you didn't see it. This character is so strong right now. Compassion, Breastplate, Fey Blessed, CAD, Emperor's Shoguns. You're an absolute team fighting animal with this build. You're also going to lane really well. You're going to fight really well. You're scuffling, 2v2ing really well. You do objectives really well. You fight on Phoenixes. You fight on enemy Phoenixes. You do objectives really well. Everything about this god in this build right now is so strong. I think his one downside is not having instant CC, which has always kind of been a Guan problem. But a build like this, currently, fantastic in support. Give it a try. Win your games. Come back. Type in the chat. Or type in the YouTube comments and say,
Darn, you're so spitting about Guan Yu. This character's busted.
it's gonna be a true story. Like, go try it out, and then come back to the comments and say it's busted. So there it is. 3 gods in every role that I think you guys should try in 9.9. If there's anyone I missed or you guys are just having a lot of fun with, put it in the comments below. I'm interested to see what you guys are trying. Maybe I'll try some of them out and put them on the YouTube also. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you guys again next time. Peace out.